Benny, and this is the Mum Mumble podcast, an online space dedicated to conversations and discussions on a variety of topics, from parenting to feminism and politics and culture. And today, my guests and I are talking about their online space and a little topic called sex. Millie and Ben Jones, not their real names, launched Wiggle, an online sex shop, last year, and it's been tremendously successful for a few reasons. After noticing the dodgy and sketchy vibes we often get from visiting sex shops and the outdated merch that they boast, which often has an emphasis on male pleasure, surprise, surprise, Millie and Ben decided to open Wiggle and center it as female-focused. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't cater to men. They do. It just means that they have opened a much-needed portal to other areas of intimacy that involve sexual wellness and women's health. Today on the show, we discuss intimacy and the taboos around sexual pleasure, why they chose to be anonymous, and all about the goodies that you can find on Wiggle. Just a quick note before we get to my chat with Millie and Ben. Mum Mumble listeners and followers of mine on social media, where I post under the username Georgie's Mummy, get a 20% discount on everything. Every single item you add to your basket. You'll find the special code, which is MUMMAMORE, one word, capital letters, in the show notes. Happy shopping. Now, on with the show. Right, off we go. Okay, right. I will be referring to you as Ben and Millie Jones. Those are not your real names. You are the anonymous couple behind Wiggle. Why are you anonymous?
We are anonymous because Cyprus is a small island, and anywhere you go, people find you and know you and see you. So there needed to be some element of discretion behind
like
this
literally
business.
People find you and know you.
Literally, the first time I moved to Cyprus way back when, many years ago, like I would be somewhere and then someone from my husband's family would be like, oh yeah, you were at this place at the weekend. I was like, how do you even know that? Like, I didn't see you. Oh no, so-and-so, the neighbour saw you. How does the neighbour even know me?
Yeah, the neighbour saw you and then spoke about it with the coffee shop guy, and then the coffee shop guy told the uncle.
Mihalis came along, and anyway, so there was a requirement for an element of discretion because it's not the average business in Cyprus, shall we say, so...
Definitely not the average business in Cyprus.
And we wanted people to feel comfortable, safe, to explore what they need to explore and not think, oh, is someone going to see what I ordered, or do I know these people? Who are these people? Who's behind the business, etc. This way, no one knows who we are, and they can.
You can just get on with.
We can get on with it, and they can be free to explore the realm of pleasure.
So the decision to be anonymous, was that from the get-go?
Yes.
Okay. Why a sex shop? And I'm gonna shoot that question to you, Ben. Did you notice a gap in the sex shop industry of Cyprus? It's so grand.
We've lived in a lot of countries for many years, and much more open-minded countries when it comes to this subject, let's say.
Yeah.
And when we came back, we were actually on holiday here at the time, and we went to a store in a city in Cyprus.
Okay.
And it wasn't the experience that we've been used to when going into this sort of businesses, right?
Was it like you stepped back into the 80s,
correct.
90s?
Very male-dominated, borderline shady. And like what Millie just said about people knowing your business, right? It wasn't a very discreet way of also shopping this if you're a person that values your privacy.
Sorry to jump in, but I mean, it was discreet in the sense that you had to walk down a back alley and round the corner to go in a door to go upstairs, and that kind of thing. But not it's the shady element. You're going in this hidden little tunnel to get to this room to open a door to find potentially a sex shop.
Yeah. And you're like,
it's discreet in one way, but you're like in the back alley or something, and you're like, hang on.
Dodgy as fuck. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, we, after that day, actually, we left. I don't think we bought anything even that day. We were so disappointed with the whole experience. We left, and actually that night, Millie sat down and said, right, this is not fair for women in Cyprus in general to have this experience, right? And from that, this basically idea came out. Well, let's do something that's female focused. First of all, it's not exclusively female focused, and we're not also the business is not built around a sex shop, right?
Okay.
We offer some sexual product. The idea is we want to build a safe platform when it comes to sexual wellness, right? And we do a lot of things, collaborations with partners around Cyprus. We'll speak about that in a bit. And we also, we curate our product in a very specific way. We don't just bring cheap sex dildos.
Yeah.
Right? We work with a lot of brands which are European made. We work with a lot of brands which are female owned. There's a lot of curation that goes into the product. We bring the distribution relationships we have, everything like that. And the end goal is not just to have a sex shop, is to have a sexual wellness space, is what we're trying to do.
Okay.
From an education point of view, a safe environment, a discreet environment to shop. We pride ourselves in our discretion, not just from our privacy, but also the way we ship products, the way we pack our products, the way our company's set up from a naming convention point of view.
Yeah.
You would never know.
Well, I haven't ordered off the website yet, but I did scroll through it yesterday. It's very easy to navigate, not scary at all. And regarding the shipping, that's an interesting story as well, because I read somewhere, I think it was Alex's from the Cyprus Mail, a newspaper article where you said, okay, so when you ship the product and I get the box, will there be a big dildo on it? Or will there be sex written all over it?
And You've just ordered a vibrator. Ding, 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 ding. And a little bell starts ringing. No.
And there's a brown box here in the studio.
We brought an example.
This is it. Okay, so I'm looking at it now. It's literally
a brown box.
Now there's nothing on it.
This would actually, for shipping purposes, this would usually be like all sealed up with brown tape.
Okay.
This sticker, which is our Wiggle logo
it would be
sticker,
sealed up with brown tape. So it would look like something, I don't know, like that fell off the back of a lorry.
A little bit. Or you've ordered, I don't know, a car part from Temu.
Yes.
And the name we use for shipping is not Wiggle, it's a different name.
Okay.
So even on the box, when the courier delivers it to you, or if you want to get it from a pickup point.
Okay.
So you can choose a pickup point far away from your house so no one's going to know.
Excellent.
It's just very plain and simple.
Wow.
Brown box.
Okay.
Brown tape.
Right.
So no one...
so no one knows. This is I like that. That just looks like, ooh, what's in there?
But the great thing about this also from our experience is when you open the box.
Yeah.
So this is your box.
Oh yeah, this is for you. Sorry,
box.
Feel free to open it.
We wanted to give you a taste of the user experience. So,
okay, all right.
Okay, you have to imagine that this is covered in brown tape. Actually.
Okay, I'm imagining that it's covered in brown tape. Right, I'm opening it. I'll see. This would be good video, but I'll do it later for my social media. I can't get it open.
See, that's how discreet it is.
It's open. Oh wow.
And this is exactly 1-for-1 of how we pack all our orders in general.
All right, I'm going to have to film this later because it's just too good. Okay, it's literally a brown box, guys.
So it looks boring on the outside,
It
but
does.
once you open it, your consumer experience begins or continues,
Well,
shall we say.
I have tried one of your products.
Mm-hmm.
I got a freebie of your lubricant at the FemFest.
The Bijou Indiscreet.
Via Kathy from Midra, who we all love so much. And I've tried that. Excellent. Feedback,
That's
5 stars.
One of our best sellers, actually.
So what can people find on the website? I click on the website. What does it look like? What can I find? How can I navigate it?
So you're going to find, we've tried to keep it quite simple. You're going to find information, the shop, and basically that's it.
What kind of products do you have on there?
So we have... we have a variety, but we haven't gone too far into the whole sex shop world, shall we say. So
Okay.
we've kind of curated it quite simply. So we kind of have toys, what we're calling wellness essentials. So that would be your lubricants, your condoms, your lotions and potions. And then we have some lingerie.
And none of them are those stinky, perfumed.
So we have a few scented products because some people do like those, but we've tried to keep it quite refined in terms of what we're offering. Yeah,
It seems
like you won't
minimalistic.
Yeah, you won't find thousands of products, but in each category you'll find a good selection to hopefully tick your boxes. We've got a little bit of lingerie. We've got some candles. And few BDSM things as well, because some people like that stuff. So we've tried to cover kind of all the basic areas without being too scary, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
But the main focus is more on the health and wellness element of sex and pleasure and that side of things.
Okay. And when we say female focused, what do we mean by that?
I think maybe.
And
as
I'm
the- as
asking
the
you,
man in the
as
room,
the
I
man
think
in the
it's-
room,
it's something I can talk about. So, if you go in the average adult store, whether in a physical store or online, it's very much screams and shout, dildos, sex,
Leather,
and
Spikes.
even from the brands that you see in the shops is Dildo King or Man First or Erection Power, and these, by the way, are brands.
I'm sure they are.
For us, we do cater for males, regardless of your sexual orientation. We cater for everyone.
Okay.
However, we want it to be a lot softer, so to not be abrasive of people's experience, right? And also, if you look at the brands we stock, it's very important. We use Lelo, right? Lelo is one of, if not the most premium adult brand
I
you
think
can
most
buy.
people have heard of that one.
We have distribution for Cyprus, for example. We work with Fun Factory. This is a German made brand, very female focused. We work with Bijou, which is the product you've tested. We have a great relationship with them. It's run by women, and the whole marketing landscape is built around a safe and enjoyable wellness sexual experience, right? That's what we mean by female focus. And with the gap, and the reason why this whole thing started was the basic fundamental pillar that started this journey for us was we want to have a space for women in Cyprus to feel secure, comfortable, and enjoy their experience when they enter this world of sexual wellness, right? That's how it started. Now, we're a couple in this. Let me be very honest. This is her baby. I'm more the logistical, finance side of things and bring the male view to the table.
It's a balance.
It's a balance, right? I don't sit there curating the stock. Let me make that very clear.
All right.
And you see that from the products we actually have. We don't have a huge selection of veiny 12-inch dicks of dildos, right?
Yeah.
We don't stock that.
Yeah.
That's not the consumer we're aiming for. That's not the market we want to service. We don't have things like we get a lot of phone calls from men in particular. Do you sell poppers? Do you sell what's the Viagra? Do you sell Viagra?
Oh, wow.
A lot of calls.
Oh.
Usually very late at night. In
Wow.
general.
Okay.
We're not going into that realm. It's not something that interests us. That's not why we're doing this.
Yeah.
We're not trying to build a fake sex store in a sense of like shady and even things like Viagra, for example, it's not legal in Cyprus. So
Is it not?
not
Oh.
So-
not that I've used it.
no, but in general, you can get prescription, but it's not legal. So we're not in the shady business of bringing these products from Gadehomena. We're not interested in that. We do have stimulants from brands like Bijou, which are, which have been tested, and they're a good seller for us, both for women and males.
Yeah.
We bring that. But that's a completely different ballgame.
So what I'm getting, well, first of all, there is one word that keeps popping to mind, and it did pop to mind when I was researching for this podcast, is the word intimacy.
Yeah.
And I really want to get into that. But I want to go back to the sex toys and the female focus part.
Yeah.
I think it was last year on Netflix, there was a show. I can't remember for the life of me, I can't remember what it was called, but it was sort of like targeted towards female pleasure. And there was so much information in that TV show that just completely startled me, and I'm like a almost 43-year-old woman, been having sex for like last 20 years or something. There was information that I had no idea about. I was fascinated by the fact that apparently the clitoris has never been studied, and it was put under a microscope or in what do you call those things? MRIs?
MRI?
Yeah. In 2005, they decided to discover what this magical thing
does.
That looks like an alien spaceship and lives in our body.
But
I was shocked, and it just reinforced what we've always known, that women's pleasure does not matter.
No. Well, it does, but it's
It didn't matter.
It's not perceived to matter. And that's the other thing. It's like women and traditional viewpoints center around women have babies, and that's why you have sex, right?
Yeah.
Finished.
Yeah, to reproduce.
To reproduce.
That's your job.
That's your job. Done. Finished. Pleasure? What's pleasure?
Yeah.
You enjoyed it. What?
Yeah.
Like even amongst my friends, and I'm in my mid-30s, like I've got so many friends who never used a sex toy, and I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. How have you never used a sex toy? And they're like, well, we just don't know, maybe my partner doesn't want to use one, or for whatever reason.
But Millie, don't you feel that it's also because, as Ben was saying, you're talking about big, scary dildos?
Correct.
Whereas now, looking on your website and watching this show as well and finding out more, they're so pretty.
They're so pretty and fun colours. And do you know what the best thing is when I'm like,
and you wouldn't
doing
even,
stock,
if my
it's like,
son
that's a
picked
nice
it up,
colour.
he wouldn't even know what it was.
Probably not, no.
Which is the
Which is
another
excellent,
part.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, with the new technology, things are quiet. They're not like
That's
it's,
the
you know,
other- yeah, you're
it's a
right.
bit more. There are some that's still a little bit noisy, but you know, it's quiet. There's not, you know, there's not this big rumbling vibration like a concrete mixers going past your house, you know. So it's that's another discrete element of the business. So, and look, we're not doing anything revolutionary.
I know.
I mean, it might feel like
We're
it's
talking
a
about it as
Cyprus,
if it
but we're
is.
talking about it as if it is. It's just like that. These shops and websites, and you know, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
We're in 2024, guys. Like,
Yeah.
come on, like. Why can't we have a sex drawer in our bedroom full of different toys and lotions and potions that enhance everybody's experience?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? What,
So
you just want to have like boring, dry, missionary sex, make a baby, and then we're finished?
Well, you know, when you grow up in a society, and especially in Cyprus,
Yeah.
where you're told that this is bad.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, you don't do that. And I mean,
Unless you want to make a baby.
unless you want to make a baby, and of course you have to be married, and
you feel like you shouldn't enjoy this experience.
you're brainwashed.
Yeah.
You're brainwashed
Correct.
to think that this is nasty and not good.
And I always say that there's two strands of the business. Yes, there's the retail side, the shop, but there's also the education side. And that's very important for me in particular. It can't just be about selling sex toys.
Yep.
It has to be about why, what toys, what is their use, how do we use them, what are the different types, like what is pleasure, like what do you like, what's a lubricant, like how do you use lubricant, do you masturbate, what's masturbation, like you've got to kind of make it accessible for everyone, because not everyone knows, you know, everything.
No,
and
and
not people don't necessarily feel comfortable to Google stuff.
It's not even about people don't know everything. People almost know nothing.
Exactly.
Because there is no education out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but like this May is International Masturbation Month, right? So
Really?
yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. We get a whole month.
Yeah, we get
That's
a whole
nice.
month. Yeah, just one. But it's amazing how people think about masturbation as well. Like, oh God, masturbation? No. Like, oh no. Like my husband masturbates. I don't like him masturbating. Why not? Like, he's exploring what he likes. Do you masturbate? Oh no, I don't touch myself. Why do you not touch yourself? How do you know what you like if
But
you don't touch
you
yourself?
feel that male masturbation is normalized to the extent that female masturbation is not?
Yes, in some ways it is, but I think there's a lot of women out there who think if their husband's masturbating, that's like
Bad.
It's like betrayal. Like,
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Maybe, you're right.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Whereas I'm like, go for it.
Yeah.
If you need to. Like,
Yeah.
because also you've got to look at, like, we're going to get into it now, but like, you've got to look at people's, I don't know why you're laughing. You've got to look at people's,
Why are you laughing,
I
guys?
don't know
You're the
why.
people who are doing this.
you've got to look at people's.
I'm laughing at her comment. We're going to get into it.
We're
now
gonna
we're going
get
to
in-
deep
let's
dive
get
right
into
now.
it.
Because you've got to look at, like, if you're in a relationship, even if you're not in a relationship, like, it doesn't really matter, but everyone has a different sex drive, right? So, for example, my sex drive is a little bit lower than his, right? So what's wrong with him pleasuring himself if he needs that extra,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? Why
Yeah.
is that a problem?
Yeah.
What, I'd prefer him to go off and do it with someone else? Like,
Exactly.
no. Like, but it's this, again, it's this mentality, it's this narrative around sex and pleasure that has to be a man and a woman,
Yep.
intercourse,
Babies.
babies, done.
And then you're-
like, there's nothing else. Like, okay.
No. And look, also talking about
Yeah.
masturbation, there's a lot of research out there that it's good for your health.
Yeah.
It's good for your
I've seen
mental
that as
health.
well. Yeah.
Stress levels,
yeah.
oxytocin, for your hormonal balance.
It's not a bad thing. It just needs to be normalized in the sense of not forced onto anyone. Do what you want. That's
Yeah.
your life, and whatever you enjoy in life, you do.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be a taboo. It should be widely available, understanding to people that it's not a bad thing, right? From our viewpoint, anyway,
yeah.
right? There's a lot of people that will argue with this. Fine.
But what you're talking about, and I think the one word that we haven't used here is the word shame.
Yes.
You want to get rid of
The shame.
the
around-
shame
yeah.
over either exploring your body
Yeah.
or pleasuring yourself
Yeah.
or even finding out what you like and what you don't like.
Exactly.
Especially if you have a partner as well, don't you want to know what your partner likes so then you can be a better sexual partner for them?
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot in selfish. What's the word I'm looking for now?
One-sided.
Yeah, it's
maybe?
like, oh, I'm just gonna have sex,
Yeah.
and that's what she likes,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, actually, no, it shouldn't be like that. It should be, what do you like?
yeah,
Let me work with you on what you like.
Yeah.
You work with me on what we like, and then we both have fantastic sexual
Yeah.
experiences, right? And a lot of this comes back to, it's not just the sexual practice, or it's communication, all right?
that's it.
We've been in a relationship a long time, right?
Right.
We've had our ups and downs throughout the years in this subject in particular, right?
Yeah.
And what's helped us really get to where we are today is communication.
Yep.
Right?
I'm with you, yeah.
You know, when you're with your partner, you've been with your partner a long time, you know, you want to also make sure your partner is happy.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they're not, then there's going to be a crack, and then
Yes.
that will increase. And sometimes those cracks form because of sex or sex drives, right? I don't think anyone can deny that, whether they believe or not. You can't deny how many people cheat, for example.
Yeah.
This is the root cause of it. At the end of the day, no one is sexually having sexual intercourse with someone else cheating because
Yeah.
I just woke up today and I'm,
Yeah, and I decided
I
to
just
just
slept in, you know.
Make my life complicated.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's the communication side, and you know, we hear a lot from customers, which are probably first-time customers. We get feedback. We get a lot of feedback.
I
on
was
Wiggle,
gonna. One of
which
my
is good.
questions was the feedback. Yeah.
You know, we had a lady who used some sex toys, and she was so happy that her and her husband reconnected. In essence, there's a lot of couples that are also. They're ashamed to use a sex toy
Yeah.
in front of their partner.
Okay. All right.
There's a shame in it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And me speaking to friends of mine, male friends of mine, for example, some of my closest friends, by the
Yeah.
way, we have no secrets.
Okay.
They're like, oh, I wouldn't buy a sex toy for my wife. Are you mad? Well, you think I can't perform? You think
is
I
that
can't?
it?
And I'm sitting there going, no, it's about enhancing the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's even more enjoyable for you and her.
Yeah.
In this.
No woman ever decided to just replace a dick with a sex toy just out of the blue.
Because if that was the case, we wouldn't have. The
But
society
also,
we have
obviously, even if she does decide to do that, that's because there were other issues going on, and it wasn't just that. I find the communication part really, really important. And I also find that it's something that we should be communicating to our teenagers as well. We're not going to lie. Obviously, they're going to start having sex. And I find it very important as a mother of boys that I do in any way I can, because whenever I go up to my 13-year-old and I'm like, any mention of sex, he's like, Mum, just stop, please. You told me all I need to know. Just stop it. No. But anyway, that there is that communication. You need to ask her what she likes. And
or him.
Oh, exactly. And also, you have every right to say what you like and what you don't like.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it starts from a young age, and it starts from also kids understanding their bodies and their anatomy.
Exactly.
Let's go back to basics. Almost like we don't even teach kids the real names for their body parts.
Thank you.
Like, oh, there's your winky. Like, no, that's your. We call it his willy.
Yeah.
Or we've started now. Because he's very young, we started now calling you're also called your penis.
Yeah.
And we don't touch other people's, and they don't touch yours unless you're okay with that. It's you've got to start from a young age, because they've got to be aware of their bodies.
Yeah.
But there's this conditioning that we don't talk. So if we're not going to talk about our bodies, and we're not going to talk about these things happening to us, and as we get into teenagers and young 20s or whatever, and these urges and whatever, it's like then.
Oh, it's too late.
You don't talk about it. So then why would you communicate as an adult with your partner or with anybody? Because you've never talked about your body. That's a huge part of society, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I feel that there is a dire need to open those gates of communication and normalize it to an extent that not only our kids, but we feel safe.
Correct.
To talk about it.
I think also there's a way to talk about everything on an age appropriate level, right?
Yes.
Because some people will say, oh, but they're just kids. It's too young to, sex education in schools, for example.
Sex education in schools and not talking to kids about sex.
I don't really know what happens in Cyprus, but I think there's always an age-appropriate way to talk about stuff. We're not talking to our son right now about sex, obviously but we're naming his body parts.
Exactly.
That's the first step, right? He's got to know, the difference between his nipple and his toe.
And why are we doing that? Because we've heard the stories, we've seen the research. We know now that if a little girl calls her vulva a flower, and then this was a real story actually, goes to the school and tells the teacher that Tom hurt my flower. Yeah. And the teacher's looking in the garden to find a bloody flower. And then you realise that, actually she's talking about her uncle Tom, who hurt her vulva.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important that you use the right words when you are describing. Just like you'd say, an arm, a leg, an eye.
Exactly.
That's it. So, intimacy. What does that mean to you guys? Ben? I'm going to throw that very difficult question to you.
Straight to the man.
Yes.
Don't say what you said in the car on the way here.
Intimacy.
What he did tell me in the car on the way here was, I said, what do you think intimacy is? He said, cuddling.
Sweetness.
He loves a big cuddle.
Look, who doesn't? It's so good for you.
Intimacy, for me personally, is not just sex, right? There's different levels to it, right? There's the communication, for me, is very important. I think talking with my wife, for example, can be a turn on. For me, big time. Yeah. Depending on the discussion we're having, right? Then you have different levels. You have your oral sex. You have the cuddling. I personally, I know some friends are going to hear this and laugh, but I love a good old cuddle.
Me too.
I love being the smooth spoon, the small spoon, right? We always argue about that. That's intimacy for me. Communication for me is the most important. Honestly, we've been together for so long. We've been together for longer than we haven't been together. Yes. Right?
Really?
So to get to where we are today in our life together and build what we've built, it was an intimate thing and through communication more than anything. Yes, sex is part of that, but it's not the...
The end.
Exactly. I mean, I hear so many stories from friends of mine about, I haven't had sex for a month, I'm going to split up with her. I'm talking from a male perspective now. And I'm thinking a month? That's it? That's all your relationship is worth? A month of no sex? Go have a wank then. Go on. Yeah. Off you go. Go communicate.
Or try something else.
Get a sex toy. There you go, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the world of sex, especially through porn, in essence, has ruined the intimacy of sexual encounters. I don't
Yes.
know, sexual.
It's deemed intimacy unimportant.
Yeah, I mean, even when you look at porn, right? I'm assuming we can talk about this porn.
Are you joking
general.
right now?
Good. All right. Exactly. So even if you look at porn, right?
Yeah.
There's now like, from my work outside of this, we deal with digital sector and content and so on.
Okay.
Right? So if you look at porn, you have two sides of porn today. You have the Pornhub, YouPorn, Jizz.com, and which is very male-dominated industry of.
Misogyny.
Yeah, you could go down that. But now you have this new sector that's popping up, which is,
Ethical.
it's not just the ethical, it's woman-owned. There's, I think it's called, the big one is called Bella
Sa or something.
Bella Sa. It's one
I
of
don't
the
know. I've
biggest-
heard of Erica Lust.
There's Erica Lust, there's Bella Sa, there's
She's a feminist who makes.
YouTube, what is it? There's another one. Anyway, there's a few of them popping
Yeah.
up, and they're normalizing porn in the sense of not just the ethical side of it, the content that's created is much more intimate, right? And I think a lot of boys in particular, I'm going to talk about boys here as the man in the room,
Yep.
they, you know, especially, let's take my generation. I'm in my late 30s. Let's say we grew up with the first thing you would see is a porn mag at the newsagents, right?
Yeah.
Or you'd find it in
or
the
a
school playground.
Or VHS. We used to give
exactly.
exchange VHS tapes between us.
Right? And I think the porn industry then was a lot smaller and a lot more private than it is today.
Yeah,
Today
it was
you've got the
confined.
internet. It was confined, right?
Now it's just
any kid, and you know,
it's porn in their pockets. That's what they say.
Yeah.
big time. And you know, you have parental controls. I'm sorry, you give any 11-year-old an iPad,
No.
they will find a way
Yep.
to crack that parental control quicker than the parents
Yep.
will.
Yep.
So I think porn has ruined intimacy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I watch porn. You know, oh no, she didn't
You
know.
do what?
Oh.
What?
And I think, honestly, me personally, I think porn is important to a relationship as well.
Yeah.
Not like obsessing over it.
Yeah.
But it can be an exploration avenue.
I've had this discussion on the podcast, and I've also discussed sex work and all the all that. But the fact that it's so mainstream now, the fact that mainstream part of it hasn't really changed, and it's not focused on the female, it's not focused on intimacy, and it's just that wham bam, thank you, ma'am. When you mention boys, that stresses me out as a mother of boys, because I know that they're going to come across it if they haven't already. And my job, I feel, and our job, is to sort of like just catch it
Yes.
before it takes off and explain, especially to our boys who watch these porn videos, and you know the guys have got an erection and it's this big and it goes like for 10 hours or something, that's not real. Because that can make them feel shameful as well.
Yeah.
And also, no, you don't throttle a girl.
No.
You don't. You should not be violent in any way. But above all, communicate first. Ask. And that's not
100%,
something that you see.
Yeah, no, it's not. Something you mentioned though, porn. I think if it can be used the right way in a relationship, and it can be quite a good segue into communication, because if sex and talking about your relationship and pleasure in your sex life and what you like is difficult for you, you can use porn as almost an example, like, oh look, let's watch this together, that might be something we could try to get, you know, you can use porn as a communication tool to open up that, you know, that line of communication around what you want as a couple, or what you each like.
Yeah, and especially now that, as Ben said, we have content that is good.
Yes.
And focused on the woman.
Correct.
And
Just focused on the right way of intimacy,
Yeah.
not just necessarily the woman.
Yeah.
And, you know, things like, you know, you watch the average porn video on Pornhub, right? It's like 40 minutes of sex. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, and I hope your audience laughs at this.
yeah.
Tell me one man that can go 40 minutes every single time, 3 times a day.
Especially when he's got a kid or two.
Please, I want to meet this individual, shake their hand, and take them out for dinner, right?
We need to be efficient with our sex lives when you're parents,
exactly.
right? Like, there's this book, I've ordered it actually, I haven't read it yet. Have you seen this? Oh, I can't remember, I'm not going to remember her name now, but the doctor, she's the sex doctor on Instagram.
Esther Perel?
No. She's the sex doctor on Instagram. Dr. I want to say, I don't know what her name is. I'll have to find out. But she's written a book, how not to let having kids ruin your sex life.
Oh.
And it's like, I haven't read it yet. I've ordered it because obviously you can't get it in Cyprus.
Oh. What do you mean you can't get it in Cyprus? Seriously?
I couldn't find it in Cyprus.
Of course you
it's a relatively new book. In English, maybe.
But it also has the word sex on the cover, anyway. So you're doomed book.
So But it's like that. Another thing is like parents. How do you have time to maintain your sex life and your relationship when you have young kids or kids of any sort? You know, like in a busy house, like that's going to ruin your intimacy, isn't it? Like,
and anyone who doesn't have kids. You do not know the struggle that it takes
to get an orgasm.
Not just to get an orgasm, but to literally like strategize and plan this. Like there's literally a gap between 9 and 9:15. Yeah. That's when we're going to do it
on Wednesday.
On a
next
Wednesday,
week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's it can take so much of that. What's the word?
Spontaneity, passion.
Out of it.
On the flip side, though, because we were talking about this recently, because you'd read something, hadn't you, about some successful relationships or couples have trialed planning sex into their calendars, because if you have got a busy life and you've got family and you've got busy jobs, etc., it's one of the first things that gets swept under the carpet, right? If you're a busy person, what things like your self-care goes? So what's that? Exercise, diet, sex, all of that stuff,
and then you end up not feeling good about yourself, and you don't want to get intimate.
And you read about a couple of people that were kind of scheduling sex, which yes, it loses the spontaneity of it, but
something to look forward to.
It keeps the connection and the intimacy, and that's one of the things for me about intimacy. It's about that connection. So it's for me, intimacy is like kissing his neck in the kitchen, or holding his hand walking down the street, or just sitting on the sofa and like putting my foot on his leg, or so, like those little things that it's that physical connection as well. That's not necessarily sex, but it's just that touch.
It's the little things.
I'm here. Yeah,
it's the little things. Yeah. Ben, did you want to say something?
No, about the scheduling thing. It's not. The thing is, if you don't make that effort as a married couple or a couple that's very busy, executives, things like that, right? It's the first thing in general that's going to break you apart, right? Especially from a man's head. No, I know not everyone's going to agree with me on that. I'll say from my end, right? If I'm with if I don't have that sexual attraction or sexual play or touch with my partner for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, then you start questioning, is this the right partner for me? And look, let's be very open. Sex, or whatever bucket of sex you want to put it in, it's very important in a relationship, right? Whether man, woman, man, whatever. It's very important to the attraction. It's not the everything, but it's a part of it.
And it's a core
it's a core pillar of the relationship, right? Yeah. Same as communication, same as touch, same as that. It's not everything. And I think, and in general, people, especially the younger generation that I see and I speak to, and friends of mine and friends of friends, is the first thing that will break up a relationship is when the sex goes down the drain. And why does sex go down the drain? Because there's no communication. There's no effort being made between both parties to keep it up. And that's what the scheduling article was saying, is that just scheduling one part of it, it keeps you intimate. It keeps the fire going. And then it actually opens up the field of exploration of like, oh, that was good. Next day you're working from home, both of you, lunchtime, you're like, hey, come on, the sun is not here or whatever. Let's go on 10 minutes quickly.
And also I feel that there needs to be a normalization of sex changing throughout the years as well, when you're with someone for a long time. And especially after a baby,
Yes.
you've been there, I've been there, where you do not feel that your body is your body anymore, let alone even think about imagining having sex. That's where communication comes in. And that's where it's very important that men are educated as well on what it means to have.
And this is another area that when we started talking about this business that struck me, because I've had a baby in Cyprus and I had a fantastic pregnancy, except we're in COVID. That's not anybody's fault. But afterwards, I was like, okay, where's the information? You know, you go for your 6 weeks checkup at the gynecologist and she's, yeah, you're cool, you're fine, you've all healed, whatever. Bye, see you later. I'm like, okay, but like, what about like, you know, I don't feel good.
You're given the baby and just
see
off you go.
And like in other places, I would know where to look for information. But in Cyprus, like, you know, I was trying to find, for example, I spoke to some friends in England and they were like, oh, you maybe see a pelvic floor physio specialist. And I was like, okay, pelvic floor physio specialist in Cyprus. Like tumbleweed, like where is everybody? Like there was no information.
Yeah.
Okay, then I found one woman, Anastasia from Alpha Physio.
I was going to say, was it Anastasia? Yeah.
Who is doing fantastic
Yes.
stuff. And you look at, you know, like the videos she posts on Instagram and YouTube, etc. It's like she is providing that information. You know, we're working with her on some stuff, and you know, one of my things to her was like, how can we take the shame away from sex toys for women who have had babies, have completely lost their identity and the feeling of themselves, don't feel confident with themselves. And she had some interesting concepts as well in terms of how to use sex toys for internal scarring or, you know, damage from pregnancy. You know, she's got a few clients and she reached out to us and she said, you know, what toys do you have, you know, with these dimensions or this specific feature?
Oh,
because
wow.
I'm working with some women who have internal scarring or that kind of thing from traumatic pregnancies and births, etc. And to use sex toys as a tool for, you know, how you would use a foam roller for your glutes after a gym workout.
Yeah.
It's the same concept.
Wow.
But these are these, and this is the other dimension of it. It's like these things women don't have access to, and it's affecting their health. It's not just affecting their wellness and their pleasure, it's affecting their health.
Again, they don't even know that their
exactly.
pelvic floor is in trouble, therefore I need to do something.
And I read a lot when I was pregnant, so I was very aware of like what was going to happen to my body and my health afterwards. So I knew that I wanted to see a pelvic floor specialist. I knew that I had a cesarean, so I knew that there were certain things I wanted to address. But there's just not the information.
Yeah.
Even things like, okay, finding a lactation consultant because I had problems breastfeeding, that was like a difficult situation.
Wow.
And it's like, where is the information for women out there, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, your job is to just have a baby and then just
get on with it.
Be quiet.
Exactly.
Just don't
But
ask
it's
for
so
anything
difficult.
more than that.
It's so difficult. You're in this space, and especially, okay, I had COVID baby. So post-COVID, there was just no access to anything.
Yeah.
It's also, I was talking to Kathy about this from Mitra.
Information for men to understand.
Yeah, we were talking about this, me and her
situations.
last week and at the FemFest.
Yeah.
And it was, I was saying to her, like, all this early menopause stuff you're doing is fantastic. And we're one of her sponsors. Like, we love what she's doing, right? But I said to her, we need to do more for men.
Yeah.
To also understand what women are going through, not just your wife or your girlfriend, but also your sister, your mum,
Your workmate.
your workmate. You know, you need to understand that. And there's nothing for men, by the way. The only things I know, me personally, is because of Kathy or because of Millie. That's it.
Yeah.
There's not. And I spoke to Kathy. I said, you need to do a male seminar
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
for men to
Yes.
understand what their partners, their wives, their mothers that are going to go through. This is one subject.
Yeah, no,
but-
I was going to say that when I was at the menopause event the other day, and there was a sexologist there who I'm really hoping I can get on the podcast, she was saying that just like with every other stage, whether it's pregnancy and birth, menopause is another stage where your sex life will change. You need to accept that, and to me that was like, wow, okay, so it's going to change. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be bad. It can actually be even better, but there are all this information, these sex toys, these ways that you can get your partner involved enough to understand what you are going through.
But I think it also depends on the open-mindedness of the male equation of this relationship, or you know, or female, whatever your gender or your relationship status, etc.
Yeah.
You know, like some men don't want to understand.
It's
They don't care, or not that they don't care. Maybe they don't care. They don't. It's not on their radar to understand. You've had a baby, like, okay, back to normal.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with your body?
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to understand? Like, even, you know, down to periods, you know, he knows if he comes home with a bar of chocolate, he's going to get a very different reception. And if he comes home, you know, like, but it's
Do
having
all
that,
men know that? Mine does as well. It's like, there you go.
it's having a basic understanding of what's going on, you know,
and
that's
consideration.
Consideration.
Yeah.
Fantastic word.
Yeah. Ben, did you want to add something to what Millie was saying?
I did, but I forgot.
But
now.
you forgot. Okay. All right. So, okay, let's wrap it up. How long, I mean, what kind of information or how can you help someone who visits the online shop to decide? Is there any...
I mean, that's a personal choice. It depends what you're looking for. We're quite responsive in terms of if someone reaches out to us for a question about a product or whatever.
That's what I meant. Do you receive questions via email or...
email, Instagram. We try and respond quite quickly as possible.
Okay.
We're trying to... obviously, we're a relatively new business still. It's been just a year, basically, that we've been going.
Wow.
So... you know, we've got kind of everything set up, established, the shop's running nicely, you know, all the operational side of things are going quite well. So now is when I want to shift focus into the more content stuff. So, you know, and I've spent the last year trying to build relationships with, you know, local...
Ben did mention collaborations earlier. So, if there's something you want to say.
Local people in terms of like Anastasia from Alpha Physica, I'm hoping we'll do some content with her because, you know, she's the expert. I'm not the expert in this. You know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not any of these things.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to build some relationships with relevant people in Cyprus especially as well who can share their expertise and their information. So we have those, you know, those pieces of information to hand to share with people freely. But if it's in terms of a product or something, if it's research and someone's not sure what product will suit them best, or we offer advice. Yeah. The thing is, another part of our approach is we're never going to be pushy. Like, these are your options.
Yeah.
I'm not going. If you want to purchase, go ahead. And you know, we've had people who come and just ask questions and never buy. That's fine. You know, you're exploring what you need to explore. That's absolutely fine.
Okay.
But yeah, we're quite responsive in terms of people need support or feedback.
Excellent.
And I'm always happy to point people in the right direction as well. You know, like if someone comes to me with a question and I say, I don't really know, let me reach out to one of our experts.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll message Anastasia and be like, hey, can I ask you a quick question? What would you recommend? Or, you know, or I'll point them in her direction. Say, look at her page, look at all the fantastic videos she's creating, all the content.
Yeah, these little collaborations are lovely. It's what I really enjoy and like about Cyprus as well.
We want to build a community around this, or be part of a community. And I think there's been some fantastic partners we've worked with already, which have really welcomed what we're doing.
And supportive of us
and supportive,
as well.
Big like yourself, for example. And it's... we don't just want to be a sex shop. That's the easy way to do it, right?
Yeah.
All you need is capital in a shady area.
Well, no, the feeling I get from you guys is that you realize the need for education, you realize the need for information that's not out there, and you're filling those gaps.
Yeah, and you know, also to your question, we also do have customers that have come to us and said, I want this product or this specific thing. Can you bring it for me? And we source it for them as well. That's a service we do offer.
Wow.
So if there's a specific Lelo product, for example, that we don't stock for whatever reason, but you really want it, we can get it to you in 5 days, most likely. So we have great relationship with our distributors as well.
That's nice.
Which helps us do this.
Do you have a bestseller?
What's our bestseller now? In each category, yes.
The Bijou lube that you tried is our best-selling lube. Toys, what would be our best-selling toy? I'm trying to think.
The Lelo ones are fantastic. They're on the high end of price point.
Okay.
But Lelo ones in general, they're also used for not just orgasms or sex. You can massage with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Yeah. So one started as actually a body massager. Like, you know, these like new wave like massage guns that cost like 600 euros for your muscles and also. One started as like a multi-purpose massager. Hitachi, right?
The Japanese one.
Japanese.
No way.
Yeah. So
My
you- so they
vibrator can massage
Your
me.
wand,
My
the big
wand.
wand. However, I've been reading some very interesting stuff about vibration therapy. Google it. Vibration therapy is the new acupuncture, apparently.
Really?
So, you know,
That makes sense.
there's obviously going to be a whole industry around that because there's a couple of brands that have come out which are doing specific vibration tools, shall we say, look a lot like vibrators. So I'm like, my drawer with vibrators basically going to do the same thing. So
okay.
those kind of another health and wellness benefit. So ones are definitely a good seller. And we have one pastel coloured dildo which sells out every single time we buy it.
Pastel coloured.
It's a pastel, it's pink, purple, baby blue, pastel coloured dildo.
We can't keep them in stock.
Like they just sell out.
Wow.
That's probably our best selling toy.
Yeah, we have that.
I think because do you know what I think it is? It's not too big, it's not too small, it's not scary looking. It's cute.
It's cute.
Yeah.
And it has
like
a pastel
you said,
colour.
it looks, yeah.
So what more
it's
do you
not
want?
intimidating, it's not overwhelming. That's my theory behind it anyway.
We have
But that sells out all the
Lelo's
time.
very good. We've now bought this brand, Fun Factory. It's a German brand.
Mm.
We've had it for a few months now. That's going
Very interesting toys and technology behind that.
Yeah, it's German manufacturing at its finest.
Well,
And
they make good cars, so maybe they make good
it's,
sex toys as well.
It's fantastic. It's really thought about, and it's a bit different. That's going very well as well. That's a good toy. Well, we have a huge selection. The Tiger, I think, is the one that's doing very well.
What's the Tiger?
I
like
actually have a selection.
It's they have it in different. It's like a ribbed penis.
Yeah.
And it has a handle on it.
Okay.
It's just like I'd say it's a cross between a dildo and a vibrator.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's got a handle on it, so it's actually quite good for maneuverability.
Okay.
And it's flexible. The shaft is flexible, so it doesn't it's not rigid. Like you know, some
Okay.
vibrators
Yeah,
are
yeah,
rigid,
yeah.
just like a stick.
Yeah.
This one's flexible, so you can bend it around and
Okay.
find that
Right.
pleasure
Well, I
point.
want to go and look on the website again. I don't know about people listening to us. Right. So if anyone wants to reach out, you are on Instagram.
Yep. Wiggle
Yes.
CY.
Wiggle.com.cy is the
Instagram is Wiggle CY.
Wiggle
The
CY,
website
sorry.
is wigglecy.com.
Are you on any other social media platforms?
No.
Good for you.
Yeah. Keep it
Okay.
simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. And the website is
wigglecy.com.
wigglecy.com.
You can email us, you can text us, you can call us.
Excellent. Though the email and the website will be going in the show notes. Whoever wants to check it out, because I know that you will after this conversation. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And for this very educational podcast, I feel.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you so much.